Kal Kadosh, Boker Or. We are on Masechet Bava Batra Daf 91. We were just speaking about the entire concept of that Abaye came and he said that at the beginning, they used to come and say they used to make two different pockets, one for the Aniyim of the world, one for Aniyim of the city. Once he heard that which Shemuel said to Khalifa Baravdimi, that you're allowed to come and switch from one to another, so he started making one pocket, the Atni Allah, and then they made a condition on it. So then he did the same thing. He made one pocket, the Atni Allah, meaning like one type of a purse for the tzedakah, and then they made the condition on it. Ravashi comes and he says, we don't even need to make a condition. Why? Because anybody that gives money to Kupatayir, they're giving it because of me. And therefore, I can come and give it to whoever I want. Meaning that since they're giving it to me, that I'm the one that's in charge of it, I don't even make a condition. It's already known that I'm going to come and I'm going to do all these different things. Okay? There are two tabahim. We're talking about shochate behemot, that they made a condition with each other. Anybody that's going to come and they're going to work on the other person's day, they're going to give a knas. They tear the animal's skin. Meaning they made a condition. I work on Monday, you Tuesday. Me Wednesday, you Thursday. If somebody goes and, how do you say, transgresses, is going to go on some, they're going to get punished. Right? And by the way, there's many things like that. For example, at the beginning, right, KM was only in Dade County, Miami-Dade County, and ORB was in Broward. In a sense, so there was such a thing that everyone had to watch over their boundaries. Okay? So one of them went and they did work on other person's day. They went and they tore the skins. They came in for Rava, and Rava obligated to pay them nezek. So he asked why. If right now it's permitted for them to come and give knasot, so the people of the city are allowed to give knasot. So what's the problem here? The guy went, he gave a knas, that's it. He didn't actually answer. Right? He didn't answer. Okay? Amar of Papa says, it's better that he didn't answer. Why? Because all these things is if there's nobody important in the city to do such a thing. But if there is an important person in the city, they cannot come and start making all these takanot. Meaning all these takanot, or if there's no big rabbi there, then fine, you start making takanot. But if there's a big rabbi, you can't do these takanot. You would have to go through the rabbi, and then you would have to come and make all these different things. Okay? Fine. Right? So you're not going to be mechashven tzedakah with a gabay tzedakah and not ekdesh with the gizbarim. Now, even though there's no raya, there is something to remember. That means basically you can come and start challenging them and start telling them, give me a rundown. I want to see all the money. You can't do that. Now, even though there's no proof to it, there's a hint. The hint was that they didn't come to the Gizbarim and start asking him to that why, because they're doing it, be'emunah. They're doing it with trustworthiness. So Amar Bilazar says Bilazar, Afal pi sheyesh lo l'adam gizbar ne'eman betoch, right, beto, even though a person has a gizbar ne'eman inside of his house, he says, yatsur v'imneh, you should still come and take all the money and everything, right? Shne'emar v'yatsur v'yiminu atakeze, which means, right, come and have all the money organized. That way you don't have to start coming, right, and, start suspecting. Meaning, even though you're not going to suspect, you have a guy that's trustworthy. Don't put yourself in a scenario which is going to be in such a fashion. Okay? So he says, Amar Rav Huna. Says Rav Huna. Bodkin, we're over here. Okay? Bodkin le mezonot and bodkin le ksut. Yeah, what does that mean? We're going to check in mezonot, and we're not going to check for ksut. Ksut means we're not going to check for clothing. So it means if somebody asks you for food, you don't check. Right? Sorry, you do check. But you don't check for clothing. Some people say it's a pasuk, some people say it's a logic. He says, 1 second. When somebody's without clothing, he's already disgraced. So what? You're going to start checking into him? Give him clothing right away to clothe themselves. But he says, but the other guy that he's for food, he's not disgracing himself. He's asking for food. So look into him. Or if you want, you could say it's actually a pasuk. Right? When it says over here, faros, parosh, beshin ketiv. What does that mean? You could come and you could make it with a shin instead of with a sin, which means parosh v'hadar havle. First, bidoresh, meaning look into it, that he's not a ramai, that he's not a trickster, and then you give him food. Vehatam, and then it's written, Ki tid'eh aron v'chisito. When you come and you see a guy that he's without clothing, cover him up. Ki tid'eh, when you see him, immediately. La'altar. So this is a proof that when it's to do with clothing, you give it to him immediately. When it's to do with it, you don't do it immediately. You check into him. Rav Yehuda says the opposite. You check for clothing. You don't check for parnasa, for food. He says, he says, you have a paksuk or you have a svara. He says, when a person right now is hungry, he's suffering. If he's just without clothing, he's not suffering, right? So he says, but if you want, you could say it's also pasuk, al-kativ, it's written, halo faros larev lemechmecha. When it says faros, the Gemara says that we do it the way that it's read, not the way that you could have written it. So faros, it's written with a sin, but you read it with sin semalit, right? Which is a sin, not a shin. Shalo faros, paros la'altar, give him the food immediately. The karina, just like we read it. The hatam over there, when it's written, when it appears to you. When it appears to you means that you looked into it, and be'emet it appears that he has to actually do that. Tanya kavatid Rav Yehuda, we learned to the right and according to Rav Yehuda, Amar kasuni vodkina chalav. If a poor person comes and he says, cover me, meaning clothe me, you look into him. Parnesuni and bodkim. But if it's to do with mizonot, you don't look into him. So we learned over there in the Mishnah. Em pochatin la'aniya over mimakom makom mikika bebunyon marba se'im besela la notnin lo parnasat lina. When you have an ani that he's going from one city to another city, you're not going to give him less than a kikar of bread, right? That it's going to be sold for a pudyon of arba se'in in one sela. Okay, this is talking about like different measurements. So here in the footnote, it says a kikar, which is sold for a pudyon. There's a quarter of a kav, which is it's a whole calculation. But basically, what he's trying to say is right. Okay, fine. Lan, if right now, right, they're going to be sleeping right in the city. You have to give him parnasalina. What is parnasalina? It's a bed and a pillow. You have to give him a bed and a pillow. Shabbat, if he's going to stay there for Shabbat, you have to give him shalosh seudot. Tana, we learned in a Braita. He says, if they were right now going around from house to house, and nizkakin, what does that mean? We don't give him anything. Why? Because if he's worrying about his own parnasah, we don't have to worry about him. You understand? I mean, if he's going around, okay. Hau anya dehava machzir al ptachim de'ata lekamed Rav Papa. There was an anani that he was going around. It was machzir al ptachim de'ata lekamed Rav Papa that he came in front of Rav Papa. Lo mizakekle, and he didn't give him anything. So Amaleh Rav Sama read Rav Yad Rav Papa says Rav Sama read Rav Yeva to Rav Papa, right? He comes and he says, "Imor lo mizakekle ini shachrim zdikekle lemut." He says, "What? If you're not going to give him, nobody's going to give him, and then he's going to die." Meaning, you're the rabbi. If you don't give him, it shows that nobody should get. He's going to die. So Amaleh, he says, he says, what? But it's written. If he's going around, you don't have to give him. Amaleh, he told him, you don't have to give him a big present. But you give him something small. Okay? Amar Ravasi says, that means you give him a small amount. Meaning, since he's going around house to house, I don't have to give him from the kupat tzedakah. Yeah, I don't have to give him a kupat tzedakah because he's already going around, so I don't need to give it to him. But from your own pocket, you need to. Well, that's what he was saying. He's saying, I don't need to give him. He says, no, but if you don't give him anything, nobody's going to give him what they're going to learn from you. So you don't have to give him something big, but give him something small. From the kupat tzedakah, not from his pocket. Again, one more time. He said, but why would I need to give him? It's written in the pasuk because he's going around. I don't need to give him. It's not a pasuk, it's a braita. The braita says that if he's machzir ptachim, I don't have to give him from the kupat tzedakah. So he comes and he says, don't have to give him from the kupat tzedakah a huge amount, but give him something. Why? Because by giving him something, you're showing, right, that he's, meaning that at the end of the day, if not, people are going to say he's not fitting for tzedakah. Imagine they come to me here, we don't accept. They don't accept, so nobody's going to give him. You understand? What I'm surprised is, if you don't give him from the kupat tzedakah and you don't give him from your pocket, then you're not. Fine. So it says like this. So Amar Ravasi says, "Lo amar nimna adam atzmo milatet shlishita shekel b'shana." A person should not stop, refrain from himself for giving a shlishita shekel b'shana. Shneimar b'zeh pasuk, "Ve'emanu alenu mitzvot latet lenu shlishita shekel b'shana la'avodat bet Elokenu." So he says, right, we accepted upon ourselves a mitzvah to give, right, he says over here to be a chova for them. Shlishita shekel b'shana for levodot. What does that mean? V'amaravasi shukulat tzedakah kenegol mitzvot. That means basically you should always give a shlishita shekel in the shana, a third of a shekel for the year. Okay, and then he says that shikulat tzedakah kenegol mitzvot shneimar ve'emanu alanu mitzvot mitzvah en ktiv kan ela mitzvot. It doesn't say mitzvah. It says mitzvot. So therefore, ve'emanu alanu mitzvot. So it comes out that the shikula mitzvah tzedakah la kenegol kol mitzvot. Okay, now we have a siman. The siman to remember, the mnemonic is Gadol Migdash Moshe. Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, Gadol me'aseh yoter min ha'oseh. Somebody that causes somebody else to give tzedakah or to do a mitzvah is greater than the person doing it. So therefore, from here, it's showing that the ma'aseh tzedakah is shalom. So therefore, it's greater the one that's causing the tzedakah more than the other one. Zacha, if he's going to be zocheh, he's going to give to the poor people. Lo zacha, if he's not going to be zocheh, the memshala will come and take it from you. Meaning, if it's not going to be the poor people, which you're fitting, and it's good, it's a zechut, you're going to have the government that will come and they'll take it from you. So Amaleu Rava Levnei Mechuza said Rava to Bnei Mechuza b'matuta binaychu asu badi adadi do tzedakah between you guys in order that you should have shalom right with the malchut. Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar is much better with Mikdash when the Bet Mikdash was kayam adam shokal shiklo, a person is going to do the shekel umitkapel lo. Right? He's talking about machzit shekel that he gives for the and then he's going to have a kapara. Achshav shem Bet Mikdash kayam. Now that we don't have Bet Mikdash, imos in tzedakah mutav. If we do tzedakah, then good. And if not, you're going to come to the they're going to take it by force. And still, it's still going to be tzedakah. The people that oppress you, it's still considered tzedakah. So Amar Rava says, this Ula told me when I was a child. Ula here is a child. Okay. And he says over here, right? Tetamubet. Okay. So he comes and he says like this. He says, let me just share the next one. Yeah, it's right over here. Okay. So he comes and he says as follows, right? If this is Ula, that he was Mishagesh Orchete Di'imeh, that he ruined the way of his mother. Mishved Rabbi Lazar, name of Rabbi Lazar. What does it mean? You're going to wear tzedakah like an armor. He says, you're just like a shilyon zeh. Kol klipa uklipa. Every single klipa comes together to make one big armor of tzedakah. So to tzedakah, every single pruta is mitzarev lechashmon gadol. Chinina comes and he says, from here, ubeged. Beged, idin, kol tzidkotenu, ma beged ze kol nima v'niba mitzarefet. Just like a beged, every single thread comes together to become a big clothing. So too, tzedakah kol pruta mitzaref v'chashmon gadol. It's the same idea, but just like with the clothing or with the armor, but it's the same idea. So the Gemara asks, Amai karule ula mishagesh orchete demiyeh? Why is it called ula that he's mishagesh orchete demiyeh? Right? What does that mean now? So he said, the bamin erech devodoi bara'ami min of sheshat. Was asked of the Chaloi Barami in the name of Rosh Hashanah, Minayin lemitzorah b'mesipuro shemetameh adam. How do we know that a mitzorah during the times that he's counting that he's going to be metameh somebody else if he touches them? Amarlo, he says, Hoilo metameh begadim. Since he's going to be metameh begadim, he's going to be metameh adam. Amarle, he says, Dima tumah bechiburim shani. Maybe it's different because it's tumah connected to the clothing. Deha heset nevela, the metameh begadim heset nevela. When you have tumah, which is carrying of a nevela, it's going to be metameh begadim, and it's not going to be metameh b'nei adam. It's going to be mitameh the clothing, right, that he's wearing, but not the person. Elmaleh, he says, Ela sheretz. Sheretz is mitameh adam. How do you know that a sheretz, a creepy crawler, is going to be mitameh adam? So he says, it's not because it's mitameh begadim. Elmaleh, he told him, sheretz v'hedif tivbe. It's written mefurash. Or isha sheriga b'chol sheretz, sheyitma. Or a person that is going to be mitameh b'chol sheretz. He says, Ela shikvat zera. Fine, shikvat zera, it's mitameh adam. Menala, how do we know? If it's going to be mitameh begadim, is it not called sheken? It's going to be mitameh adam. Shikvat zera, semen. If it's mitameh begadim, it's not going to be mitameh ben adam. Says Elmaleh, shikvat zera nami tzurta mefurash. O ish is lirabot tanogea, that even if you touch it. So adale bebedichuta, he went and he answered him like laughingly, like as a tzchok, right? Chalash tateh. So he was very weak. The Rav Sheshat. Ish tikra v'achdavoi bar ami. He forgot all his learning. So Atya Imeh came the mother of Rav Sheshat, the Kabavya Bachya Kameh. So he was crying in front of Rav Sheshat that he should come and pray for the refuah of Rav Achdevoi. There's a whole question, why is she crying for Rav Achdevoi? Tzavcha tzavcha velo ashkach beh. She started screaming and he didn't pay attention. So what happened? She revealed her chest area. And she told her of Sheshat, look at this chest that you were sucking from, right? And therefore, what? You're not going to have mercy? Right? Which means, pray on Ravach Davui. So he prayed for him, and then he was cured. So therefore, because of that, he was like, he ruined like the way of his mother. Meaning, like, why does his mother have to do such a thing? Right? Okay, because she wanted him because he wasn't paying attention. Right? Again, there's a whole question. Why does he have to actually come and do this? But fine. So once this came to us, this question, right? How do we know Bemet that Metzora b'Mesipuro is Metameh Adam b'Maga? So says the Gemara. We learned to the Braita. Shimon ben Yochai Omer. Shimon ben Yochai says, "Ne'emar kibus begadim b'Mesipuro," and it says kibus begadim b'Mechaluto. Mala halan, just like over there, Metameh Adam, Afka Metameh Adam. It's always going to be Metameh Adam. Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar. That means basically they're learning it from the pasuk. It's a hekesh. It's a juxtaposition, proximity. That just like there it's bimei chaluto, so to bimei sipuro, it's the same halacha. That it's going to be metamei adam. Okay, nekuda. Anu. We're going back to tzedakah now. Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar. Kadola oseh tzedakah b'seter yoter min Moshe Rabbeinu. It's greater than somebody that does tzedakah b'seter even more than Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Because by Moshe Rabbeinu it's written which means I went against the malachecha balav af v'chema. But somebody that does tzedakah is written matan baseter yichape af v'shocha bechek chema azah, which means that he has the koach leachnia et af v'chema. Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of them. He was afraid. Ki agorti mipnei af v'chema. Here you control the af v'chema when you give tzedakah baseter. When you give tzedakah quietly. This argues on Rabbi Yitzchak. Tamar Rabbi Yitzchak says Rabbi Yitzchak af kofeh. Chema and kofeh, which means when it says matan baseter yichape af, you could control the af, but not the chema. Because it says v'shochad bechek chema azah. Af al pi sheshochad bechek chema azah. There's still chema, meaning chema is so strong that you can't do, but af you could do. Af is anger. Chema is also anger. So obviously af is less than chema. Ika damri. Some people say Amar Yitzchak says Yitzchak. Kol dayan shenotel shochad mevi chema azah lulam. If you have a dayan that he takes bribery, he's going to bring chema azah to the world. Shemar v'shochad bechek. Amar Yitzchak says Yitzchak. If you're going to come and you're going to give a pruta to Anani, you're going to get 6 blessings. If you come and you also are mefayes, you give him strength and everything, you get 11 brachot. Right? What does that mean? And that's you get 11. And if you give and you do both, you get 16. 17, sorry. 11 plus 6, 17.
It's not 6 plus 5.
It's 17. 34. Yeah. Yeah, look in the footnote. We're talking about a person that he does not have more to give, so he's only just convincing him. He's like giving him chizuk. But if he does both, he gets both. Hanotem prutal. So imagine how many brachot you get when you give tzedakah, and you give him the strength. So he said, "Hanotem prutal ani mitbarech v'shesh brachot." When you give a prutal ani, you're going to get 6 brachot. It says the pasuk. So it says like this. It actually counts it out in the art scroll. Number 1, azi bekaka shachar orecha. Number 2, varuchatecha merat tzmach. Number 3, valach lefanecha tzidkecha. Number 4, kvod Hashem yasfecha. Number 5, az tikrav Hashem yaneh. You're going to call and Hashem will answer you. And number 6, tishavar v'yomar ineni. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do your chefetz. When you're going to appease him, you're going to get 11 berachot shneimar v'tofek l'remecha v'nefesh taneh tasbiyah. What does that mean? V'zarach v'choshech orecha, number 1. Faletecha katzaorayim, number 2. Nacha Hashem tamid, number 3. Zbiyat tzazukot neshecha, number 4. V'atzmotecha yachlitz, number 5. Ayakegan Raveh, number 6. Chmotzamayim asher chazul memam, number 7. Ubaruma michal chovot olam, number 8. Mostei orim v'dor v'dor tekomem, number 9. Korelecha Hashem Eloche pol gadol paris, number 10. Mosheven tivol hashevet, number 11. So these are just 11. Again, it's just bringing down all these berachot. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says Yitzchak, my diti wasn't in pasuk rodev tzedakah v'chazim yitzach chayim tzedakah v'chavod mishum derotev tzedakah yitzach tzedakah. He says, I don't understand. If you're running after tzedakah, you're going to find tzedakah. What does that mean? Ella lo malech, but rather tell you kol rodev tzedakah. If you're running after tzedakah, Kadosh Baruch Hu mamtzi lo ma'ot v'oseh b'hem tzedakah. He's going to find him and he's going to give him tzedakah. Rav Nachman Yitzchak says, Kadosh Baruch Hu mamtzi lo bnei adam meukanim la'asol lehem tzedakah k'dei lekabel tzedakah mischar. He's going to find you people that are fitting to get tzedakah, so you get the reward for it. Huh? Money. Yeah. You're going to find people which are fitting in order to get the tzedakah. La'puke mai, what is it coming to exclude? He says, La'puke midrash Rabba. To exclude that which Rabba comes and he says, right, or over here, the Dadi Rabba was Rabba expounded, right? My dikti was meaning pasuk, v'yu machshilim mifanecha be'et apecha aseh b'hem. Says Yirmiyahu, right, לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, ריבונו של עולם, אפילו בשעה שקובעים נתיצה מבקשים לעשות צדקה לפניך, כשרים לבני אדם שמוגרים כדי שלא יקבלו עליהם שכר. Yirmiyahu Navi was praying, הקדוש ברוך הוא, you know what? Since they don't always give tzedakah, he's going to pray that even when they do give tzedakah, find them people that are not fitting, so that way they don't get the reward. That is the shita. That's why it says Rabbi is the opposite of this. Meaning this shita was saying that even if you give it to people which are not fitting, you still get the reward. According to Rabbi, you don't get the reward. And that was the tefillah of Yirmiyahu Hanavi. Okay? And then the last thing, Rabbi Shua ben Levi says, anybody that's regil la'asot tzedakah, he's going to have children which are baalei chokhmah, baalei osher, baalei agada, and then we're going to bring all the proofs, right? Exactly why.